How you doing? I'm Matt with Matt's Rants, and making this video sort of as like a follow-up to the video that I'm about to post with my experience at the March for Our Lives protest at the NRA headquarters when I went dressed up as Barney. So, pretty much looking back on it now, as I'm editing the video footage, you know, it was interesting. I had a lot of good conversations, some very amicable and respectful, and others people were just not that very nice. I remember some people were, I remember one woman told me to just F off in front of her kids, you know, and I was like, what, you think this is acceptable behavior, you know, to speak in front of your children, you know, when you don't agree with them? Things like that. Particularly, I spoke to Cameron Kasky and Matt Deesh. I don't know how to say his last name, but a couple of the Parkland kids. Now, first of all, I didn't get the first half when I went up to Cameron. First half of the video footage, because I saw him and I just approached him and I started asking about the 10 points on their website that they wanted to accomplish, and then halfway I pull out my camera and I start recording. Now, one thing that's interesting was that several times when I was trying to talk to Cameron, at first he was trying to kind of be facetious about my costume, which I get, but there was like this dude that kept trying to pull him away and oh no, you know, don't, and I was like, well, hold up, you know, we're having a conversation here, and several times this was happening, and until finally Cameron kind of just sort of walked away, didn't want to talk anymore. Matt, he was actually a lot more receptive to conversation. He was actually a little cooler, and we had a good talk, and in the end with both, I respectfully shook their hand and tried to, you know, just move on. Now, one thing that brought up my conversation with Matt was this tweet that he put out, and the tweet read this: "The NRA is a racist, fear-mongering organization that does not care who dies as long as we're buying." So, as you can imagine, when he put that out, I was like, what? That got me a little upset, because first of all, I am not a racist, and I don't believe in fear-mongering, and the NRA promotes and protects the Second Amendment, not selling of arms. So they don't even sell arms. So this upset me. So that explains when I first approached Matt, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm a racist, you know, I'm here for the NRA, you know, and when his response was, oh, well, no, the leadership or the head of the organization is racist, which is still a pretty out there claim, and I personally don't believe that claim. But you can imagine that was the first thing that I wanted to get clear. Like, you're gonna say I'm a racist, you know? Like, that upset me. You know, just because I'm for the NRA doesn't mean that I'm for, or, you know, division or racial identity politics. So that is what upset me about that. And also, I would like to clarify that the comments made by Ted Nugent about the Parkland kids, I am not with that at all. I'm not with none of those things that he said. And I just do not condone violence to people for harboring different opinions. Now, I like to also make very clear that I have nothing against what these kids... I have nothing against the kids themselves. I'm nothing against them as people, you know, Cameron or Matt or David Hogg or all those other, you know, my discrepancy is not against them as a person. It's just the things that they're saying, or the things that they believe, or the things that they're doing, or how they're going about doing it to achieve this goal. Make that very clear. This isn't something personal towards them. I'm just responding to arguments and ideas that I don't agree with, and I would do the same regardless of who it is coming at. So, yeah, I'm not with what Ted Nugent had to say, and I'm not against what these kids personally, just against the arguments. So that's where I stand with that. And also, after I was talking to him, I woke up the next day, and I woke up the day after that too, and I felt bad, like he in particular, Pat, was a good kid, but I was just thinking about all the stuff that those kids are doing right now, and I'm like, they should not be doing this. These are kids who should be enjoying their summer. They should be, out playing outside or doing whatever kids nowadays do in the summer, chilling, relaxing, sleeping in, all that. But they're on this tour bus thing across the country to basically do whatever it is that they're doing. Now, I greatly respect that, even though I don't agree with a lot of what they have to say. But, like, I felt bad for these kids who went through that stuff, and as well as the community that is suffering because of this. And, people did not do their job. And those who did not do their job need to be held accountable. But also, like, I think it's very important that we Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment people, we need to find solutions and come up with ideas that can reach the ultimate goal without infringing on people's rights, because this should not be happening. These kids do not need to be on this nationwide tour bus, essentially going out against the Second Amendment, regardless of how they say it or not. Like, we have to come up with changes ourselves, so that way these things don't happen, so that we don't have a movement growing and on our hands that is pretty much wanting to get rid of the Second Amendment. So these are things that I think definitely need to be thought out of on both sides of the aisle. One thing that gets me about this March for Our Lives is that they are going after the NRA and gun owners in particular and the Second Amendment, when really what they should be doing is going after the FBI and the Broward Sheriff's County Office for negligence. They're the ones who didn't do their job. So, but they don't want to do that. And I think that there's sort of a deeper hidden agenda behind all this, to get people to be anti-Second Amendment, anti-guns, particularly the younger generation, who are sort of more susceptible to this kind of movement that's going on. A lot of the kids and the younger people in particular from that March for Our Lives, they're just very dismissive. They don't want to debate. And first of all, I come off as abrasive and tough. I like confrontation. I like catching people off guard, coming at you out of nowhere, because that's when you're going to get the most natural reaction out of somebody. But I wasn't intimidating. But the thing is that kids these days and young, they're so soft. They are so just like I'm a part of a sub-generation, an 80s baby, but like late 80s baby, who similar to like other early 80s babies, we grew up outside. We grew up in each other's space. If we had a problem, we stepped up to each other. What's up? I heard you said this. Back up what you're saying. So I kind of maybe have that, and I'm working on trying to come off, not be so rough, but that's kind of more or less of like how I am and how I approach people. I remember the father of one of the kids who passed away at Parkland, while I was talking to Matt. He came at me very abrasively. He just talked at me and didn't want to hear anything I had to say, and just then walked away. Like he just felt like he had some kind of moral high ground to, just kind of tell me off and then walk away. And I didn't even get a chance to even talk back or even say anything to respond to that. So that was sad. I also give my condolences to that man, regardless of, our differences in opinion. Parkland should have never happened. FBI and the sheriffs in Broward County failed. And I think that the gun violence in this country is the symptom of a deeper problem. Okay, and I would like to see something where, like a Mindhunter type thing, where people are going around interviewing or researching the case studies of all the gun violence that's happened in the past whatever X years, and see what commonalities there are, and try to pinpoint that, because taking away guns doesn't solve the deeper issue. And that's kind of where I stand with that. So, you know, to whoever I was talking to, if I came off abrasive or whatever, I'm sorry, but at the same time, like, you know, you got to be able to defend yourself, your stance at any given moment, and you got to stand firm. So that's where I'm coming from. I definitely want to try to do more videos like this, where I'm going to rallies and talking to people about different issues that, you know, and even if I don't agree with what people have to say, I definitely want to kind of just have these conversations and see what kind of middle ground that we can find. With that, I want to end with, here's what I did able to find common ground. One is, I think that we realize that there is definitely a mental health issue in this country that needs to be addressed, and we're not doing a good job at addressing it, nor do I even think we know how to. So I think that that's something to investigate. Another thing I learned is that the people on the March for Our Lives side, first of all, like I said, they don't want to talk to you if you're on the other side of the aisle. They say they do, but they don't. Also, what they do is they gaslight. They say, oh, we don't want to take away the Second Amendment. We love the Second Amendment. But they want to ban guns. It's part of the agenda. So that's gaslighting. Don't listen to that rhetoric. You can't want to ban assault weapons, but then before Second Amendment. Like, it doesn't work that way. Another thing I learned is that side of the aisle and my side of the aisle, we want the same things. We don't want schools being shot up. We don't want people getting hurt or being killed in these mass shootings. You know, but it's how we want to get there, how we want to reach that, is where the difference is. March for Our Lives want to ban guns. People like myself say, hey, there's other issues that we need to look at in order to resolve this. So, you know, I'm part of a generation of people. You know, I'm 31, so growing up, you know, we didn't have social media or whatever. Going outside was our social media. So if we ever had issues or problem, we were right up on people and call them out. Oh, you know, you were saying this. You know, is that true? You know, and so I'm part of a sub-generation of individuals who were just sort of like that. I think kids these days are really soft now, and I can tell that I came off abrasive looking back on it. I kind of felt a little bad because, you know, like, given the situation. But then, like, a couple days later, there were some tweets that Cameron put out about, you know, oh yeah, Bart. Like, I think the guy that kept pulling him away was like, oh, this guy in a Barney costume, you know, was being intimidating to Cameron. But in the end, he made him look like an idiot, you know, and which is not true. Okay, we had a good conversation, but I was respectful the whole time, and I was respectful to Matt as well, and I expressed my condolences. I think that one thing I learned through this whole experience at March for Our Lives is this. Those March for Our Lives people, they tend to exaggerate the truth. There's people who were saying that Cameron Kasky was saying something about how my show was, you know, oh, sorry that your show got canceled. He never said that. But also, they were talking about how there's like 1,500 people at the event. Definitely not 1,500 people. Probably more like 400 or 500 people at the most. Another thing I learned is that if you try to approach these March for Our Lives people and you talk to them with facts, they do not want to argue with you. They operate in an echo chamber. They will walk away from you and not try to talk to you at all. And here they are, they talk about, you know, we want to have a conversation. No, that's not true. They want to have a conversation with people who agree with them. And that's it. And then if you come at them like that, they just want to walk away. They don't, you know, they won't debate. They won't back up what they have to say, and whatever facts that they use are skewed. So that's one thing. Another thing I learned about that experience was that basically both sides of the aisles, the pro-Second Amendment people and the March for Our Lives people, is that we want the same thing. What is that? We don't want people shooting up schools. We don't want people committing all these, horrible crimes with guns, obviously. And we want people to be safe, But the problem is how we want to get there. So the March for Our Lives side wants to ban guns. And another thing that gets me, they gaslight you. They say, we love the Second Amendment. We don't want to get rid of the Second Amendment, but they want to ban assault rifles. That is an infringement on rights. That's how they're going to ban it, how they're going to confiscate it, Like, they're gaslighting you. Do not let them gaslight you, okay? So there was a lot of that, too, I've noticed. We love the Second Amendment, but we want to ban guns. No, it doesn't work like that. But I think that how we want to reach there is differently. Me personally, I think that we need to do psychological studies and examine each case, a gun crime, on why and what led to this person using a gun. And I think that you're going to find commonalities when you do those things. I would love to be a part of a study like that. By the way, I have a degree in psychology, which is right there. Bachelor's in Science and Psychology from George Mason. And I do want to pursue psychology down the line. So I'd love to do like a Mindhunter type thing and examine each case and what drove people to use these guns in violent incidents. So, but with that being said, I think there's definitely a dichotomy and a friction on how we want to achieve these ends. They want to ban guns. I don't want to ban guns. I think we need to examine other things. The gun violence is a symptom of a deeper problem. And I think if there's one thing that I came across and I learned is that there's definitely some mental health issues in this country that we need to deal with, particularly in the area of pharmaceuticals. Now, I think looking back on it, I feel bad, if we're coming off real rough with some of these kids. Definitely was not my intention. So if I came off as rough, I'm sorry, Matt and Cameron. But, you can't run away from debate, and you can't run away from the things that you say, because people are going to confront you on them. Because I know, things that I've said in the past, people they're going to come at me and do the same thing, and I've seen it other places. So I appreciate everybody who talked to me. I definitely want to keep track of what's going on, because there is a slow movement being built up to kind of essentially get the younger people against the Second Amendment, and that is very dangerous for this country, because it may not happen now, it may not happen in the next election, but it could get worse and worse, and we need to watch this. So please check out future videos, like, share, comment below. Let me know what you think. I'll try to be as responsive as I can, and we'll see what's up for the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'm Matt with Matt's Rants.